Hey there, it's best-selling coach, author, and small business specialist Alex Goad with 10x Your Life. And today I have some very lofty ambitions because today I'm going to tell you what the master switch for more money, health, and happiness is. And as if that wasn't enough, I'm also going to reveal to you the meaning of life. All right, that sounds pretty far-fetched, I know, but you're going to see I think this might make some sense. So let's get started. First, I'm going to tell you the story of Grandmaster. So for a long time I was involved in the martial arts in Shaolin Wing Chun Orthodox Kung Fu. And we were blessed to have a Grandmaster that was basically descended from Grandmaster after Grandmaster after Grandmaster in a very traditional style and a very disciplined art. And so he was from Vietnam, and today he's still the president of the foundation, so one of the highest ranking martial arts officials in the world, highly deservedly so. But here's where the story gets interesting, is that when he was coming up on that path, when he was in his early 20s, I believe, there was a war in Vietnam, as you probably know. And during that war, political opponents and people that might be the type of people that could oppose the government and the forces that be were captured and summarily thrown in jail, or often thrown into work and prison camps. And so that's what happened to our Grandmaster, whose name is Nam An, by the way. So Nam An was thrown into a prison camp, and in that prison camp he actually encountered another martial arts Grandmaster who was imprisoned there at the same time. And here's the interesting thing, is that obviously, as you can imagine, in a prison camp, people were not treated well, they were not fed very well, if at all, and sometimes, in fact, a lot of the times, they were even tortured. So they went through tremendous hardships, and a lot of people died. A lot of people died from the hardships themselves, but a lot of people died because they just gave up. They couldn't find the strength to continue. And yet, my Grandmaster Nam An and his associate in the martial arts, if you will, both of them lost less weight, did very well, survived no problem. And there's one very important uniting factor behind all of that. And here's what it is that from quite some time, my Grandmaster had been told that he was destined to take the arts that he had learned and go and spread and teach them to people in an unknown, faraway land where ice grew on trees. So that sounded pretty weird to him at the time, but because of the tradition of the martial arts, because of the person that he was, because of all of the culture and all of the values and all of the things that he had already overcome, this made sense to him. And what it did, in other words, for him and for his associate, is that it created a sense of purpose and meaning to his life through which everything else was filtered. So when things were hard, when things were unacceptably hard for other people, it didn't register with him the same way because he had something else that was pulling him into his future so strongly that the temporary setbacks and hardships of the moment were easy to surmount. And really, that's what it comes down to. That is the master switch of life in general. I'll tell you how that story ends at the end of this short video. So as you may have guessed, the master switch for life is purpose, meaning, significance, the impression that what you do matters. When you have that, you'll be able to use your skills to the best of your abilities to do something that counts for you. And when you don't have that, it's very hard to even get the motivation to get up on time, to take care of your health, to take care of stuff that should be easy, but it feels hard. Why? Because it's meaningless. And so the more you can engineer your life to have purpose, the easier everything gets. And the less purpose it has, the harder everything is, including the stuff that should be easy, that should be fun, and that should come very naturally. Okay. So when I was doing research on this, I discovered that there's actually research that's been done on this. So university scientists got together groups of people, asked them a bunch of questions to evaluate how much purpose and meaning they felt that their life, their actions, their behaviors had. And they found that the people that had the higher level of purpose made more money, were healthier, and were happier than the people who had a moderate amount, and who were also happier than the people who had a small amount or none at all. And so, if you want to do one thing in your life, the master switch, that'll help you earn more money, that'll get you healthy, and that'll make you happy and fulfilled, and you know what? It's also going to get you a whole bunch of the other stuff that you could say, like what you want out of life. You make it easier, make it come naturally, increase your purpose, increase your meaning. And if you think that you don't have a purpose, that you don't have a meaning, I'm going to show you how to find some in this and the next video, and you're going to see this isn't woo-woo stuff, and I'm not going to tell you what your purpose and your meaning is. I'm going to show you how you can discover it, because it's unique to every one of us. Okay, so let's get on to the meaning of life. So the meaning of life is really composed of three things. And I know that sounds a little bit arrogant, that here I am in front of a little video telling you about the meaning of life. But this comes from a lot of research, it comes from a lot of experience, it comes from treating and dealing with several 100,000 clients and customers in all sorts of different fields. It comes from reading, and I think it's pretty accurate. But I would love it if you would argue with me. So please, in the comments below, tell me where I'm wrong, tell me where I'm right, tell me your perspective on this. I'd really love to hear it. Anyways, let's start. So the first one is intelligence. And no, the purpose of life is not to be smarter than other people. The purpose of life is to discover and explore your own intelligence. And by intelligence, I don't just mean what you got up here in your noggin. I also mean your abilities, your skills, the things that you're good at. So we all have inclinations, and we all have things at which we're better than others, or skills and intelligences that speak to us, that we look at someone doing it, or we look at the result of it and we think, that speaks to me, I want that. Well, one of the meanings of life is to discover, to explore your intelligences, to deepen them, to acquire those skill sets, and then finally to use them in a way that is useful in service to others. Intelligence. The second part is good. So doing good, being kind. Every person, this is a very interesting fact that I discovered through reading, is that every person, like 99.9% of people on earth, think that they are good people. So it's even the ones that are in high security prisons, to give you an idea. So what that shows is that each one of us has an ingrained desire to be good and to be seen as good and to be recognized as good. But we also need to do this in our own way. So everybody has a different idea of what it means to be good. And that's why you can have people in a high security prison that think that they are good and that they do good, because they have a different definition of it. But each one of us tends to acquire a definition of what it means to be good, and we always have the desire to do more good. A lot of the times what's lacking is our abilities. So we'd love to be generous, but we don't have any money. We would love to be a person who lights the path for other people, but our skills aren't quite up to par. Intelligence and good. And finally, here's the multiplier, is authentic. So every single human being on earth, to at least some extent, has a desire to express their own uniqueness. So we have our own ideas, we have our own perspective. We know we've been given a good way to do things by our parents, by society, by books, and yet we always seek to modify them and to make them our own, because we have such a powerful desire for freedom, for authenticity, to be ourselves, in other words. So here's how you find the purpose and the meaning of life, or here's how you deepen it. You use your intelligence, your abilities, your skills in a way that represents your vision for good, for how you do good in the world. And you do it your way. You have the courage to speak up for what you believe in and to put your intelligence, your skills, your money, your energy to the service of that. And when it has an impact on other people, that creates deep significance, deep meaning. It pulls you towards it with incredible strength. And you can observe this everywhere in the world. If you see somebody suffering and you go and you help them out, so you take them from a state of suffering to a state of non-suffering, you're going to feel very good about it. It's going to create meaning in your life. And when you find your unique way of doing that, either of easing suffering or of increasing people's abilities to seek, to find, and to make good on their opportunities and to reach their goals, you'll find that that's pretty much the number one thing that's going to feed you. Now here's the problem. Here's where almost everybody is stuck. Is that, you see, you've got two circles here. The first circle is, can't write and speak at the same time apparently, is what motivates you. Okay, so this is what you dream of. This is your vision. This is like what, if you were capable of anything at all, if you could just snap your fingers and make a contribution to the world, this is what would motivate you. The problem is that this is what you're capable of. So there is a divide between what motivates you and what you're already capable of right now. And most people have trouble breaching this gap. And so what happens is that most of the time this remains a dream and this stops increasing or increases very slowly. Well, here's the power of meaning, or the power of purpose. The power of purpose is what closes this gap right here. This is a gap that is composed of several different things, but two of them are pain and uncertainty. So when you want to make these two circles meet, your skills need to go up, and sometimes the scope of what motivates you needs to come down a little bit, so you can match the two of them together. Now, the thing is that in between the two stands this giant divide, and it means you're going to have to work hard. It means you're going to get rejected. It means that you're going to feel pain. It means that you're going to feel like you're not good enough some of the times, and it means that you're going to feel like you may do all of that work for nothing, because maybe you'll never be able to reach what truly motivates you. And that's just one of the real true factors of life. But your amount of purpose and meaning that you feel about what you're doing is literally what allows you to close that gap, to face the pain, to face the hardship, to muster up the discipline so that you can make those two circles overlap. And when the two circles overlap, then you get into this you get into the zone where everything feels right, where your energy's right, where everything in your life is congruent, makes sense. You get up in the morning, you've got energy, whatever it is that's on your to-do list, you feel like doing it, you feel fulfilled, everything works in the right direction. So in the next video, I'm going to talk to you, we're going to talk a little bit about the purpose scale, and I'm going to show you a checklist whereby you can kind of measure where you're at in terms of how purposeful you feel about your life, how meaningful you find that your daily actions and behaviors and aspirations are. And I'm going to give you that checklist, and I'm going to show you how to use it so that you can identify the areas in your life where you can get the most growth out of. Okay, so why is this important? Well, let me close with this. So here's the purpose scale. You're going to see that the checklist is going to allow you to score yourself on a score of 0 to 20. So 0 is where you've got no purpose, and 20 is where you're living the dream. And here's kind of what I've observed, is that when you're on a 0 to 5, your life is kind of going to be defined by emptiness and self-loathing. Why even get up in the morning if it doesn't mean anything? There's no point. And it kind of creates a very negative environment. It's very unpleasant to be there and to feel that way. And to a lesser extent, the same thing is true when you're on a 6 or a 10, 6 to 10 on the scale of purpose. This I called kind of an emotional wasteland. It's like you're able to get up and to do the things, but it doesn't really feel like it means anything. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It doesn't feel like you could possibly get to a place where you would feel good or where things would feel right. Then, when you pass that 10 level, you get to 11 to 15, and now all of a sudden you're on the path. You're not making tremendous progress, but you're on the path where things are constantly improving for you, where you see the light at the end of the tunnel, where you have a destination and you're making your way slowly but surely towards that destination, and it feels rewarding to do so. So here's where life starts getting pretty good. Now, when you get to a 16 or an 18, this is where really you're going to feel people, when you see someone and they're on fire and they're getting stuff done and you feel they have tremendous energy and they're just connecting with their goals and the bigger picture, it's because they're in this level right here. And then finally, 19 or 20, well, those are your world-class performers, the people that are just on it from morning until night, and they seem unstoppable. And the reason why is because behind all of the things that they do that seem so impressive is this massive, gigantic sense of purpose that makes what they do a must. It's not optional. It has to happen. And when you have that frame, then it's very easy to do things that other people find hard, because for you, it's easier to do them than to not do them. And listen, I don't care if you're here, here. If you could make some forward progress in terms of purpose, and if you're watching this video, it's because you certainly could. We all could. I know I can. Then I'm going to show you in the next video how to diagnose the areas in your life that are going great in terms of creating purpose, the areas that are not going so well, and what you can do about it. So, if you want to live a great life, if you want to be healthy, if you want more money, if you want more fulfillment, if you want more ease in getting the stuff that's hard and that other people struggle to get, then you need more purpose. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get it. So, if you've enjoyed this one, please enter your name and email below. Comment. I would love to read your opinion or your thoughts on this important subject. And until next time, I'm Alex Goad, reminding you that today is a template for every day. So make it count.